Okay, Rod, I believe we're ready to go. I believe we're live.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Everyone's present.
All right. Would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
Stands
one
one
nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
liberty
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
All right. We begin every Wabash City Schools board meeting by reading the Wabash City Schools mission. Wabash City Schools provides a relevant and rigorous education founded upon relationships to ensure each student is college and career ready for success in the global community. I'd like to welcome everybody. Recognition of any visitors tonight?
Yes, we have Stephanie Veit from Hagerman with us, and she'll be presenting. We've got some new drone footage as well.
Okay.
And then obviously all our administrators have joined us, and I've asked Mr. McQuirk to give an update at the end on fall athletics and also kind of our rollout plans for the winter.
Okay. All right. There are no revisions. The consent agenda, we've got minutes from our October 26th, 2020 meeting, claims, donations, and financials. Accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
The only thing I think Mr. Stone and I had talked about, the education fund was down a little bit, but we had 3 pays during the last month.
Yep, 3 pays in October lowered that fund a little bit, but it'll bounce back by the end of the year.
Any other discussion regarding the consent agenda?
No.
Move for approval.
All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next regular scheduled board meeting will be Monday, December 7th, 2020 at Wabash City Hall at 6 p.m. More than likely, it'll still be online at that time. We have a few items of communication. There's no old business. New business. Item A, we have a project update by Hagerman.
Right. Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you as soon as I can pull up. I'm going to try here to.
Yeah, I think it's on that OneDrive. I think you got it. It might, if I can, yep.
Trying to, my bar comes down there.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm trying here. There we are.
There we go.
You ready to?
Well, yeah, start at LH Carpenter. As you can see, the outside is, we're pretty well buttoned up. We're actually starting casework and ceiling grids this week. Actually, tomorrow and Wednesday, they'll start the asphalt as well on the church parking lot and parking. They can start flooring after Thanksgiving. So a couple week look out. There's still some metal panels that need to go on the outside.
You want me to stop you?
Nope, you're good. You could keep it rolling.
Okay.
You can see the size there of that new addition. Yeah, actually almost doubles the size of the school. The Coolman Gym, again, the opening is so that we can get equipment in and out of there. That we'll close that up, but you can see the canopy there over the doors have been framed, and that's starting. And the connector, which is probably the most complex of all the projects, especially given that elevation change is really coming along. Structural steel is going to be ongoing. They've started the roof decking there. Come around here to the front of the building so you can see how much masonry work is going on there. which is the new entrance. And then looking out a couple weeks, we're gonna have some really good fall weather. So hopefully we can keep temperatures into the 50s. We would like to start the concrete on the plaza, maybe even this fall, and get that done. So that's kind of what we're looking at for a few weeks there. We did run a time lapse on the actual field. The lines on the track are done. I don't know if anyone has seen that, but Austin went ahead and ran the time lapse. So we started at obviously the beginning. There was done for the first game, and the lines are finally done on the track. And good news, the black fencing is in, so that will start to be installed the end of this week, beginning of next week, around the field there. So that's it for us. Moving right along. I'll entertain any questions if
Looking good.
anyone has any.
It looks real good. Thank you for updating us each board meeting.
Yep. Hopefully the December one that we're doing next month is in the beginning of the month. So hopefully the snow will not be flying yet.
Yeah. Do you have a recommendation, Stephanie, for maybe another tour for the board?
Yeah, I would probably wait a couple more months. Let us get some casework done at LH
Mhm.
and get that done. And let's get the connector at least enclosed. And then I think when you walk through that connector, you can kind of see how big of a project. It doesn't look real big, looking at it from the outside, but it's kind of, it's a neat project there. So I'd probably give it a few months. Let us get that closed in maybe February, March. Although if we, depending on the weather and how much we can get done and quickly get that buttoned up, I'll have to go back and look at our schedule, Jason, and see when that is scheduled to be more enclosed, so we're not standing out in the cold.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as the locker rooms too at the gym get, hopefully we'll, now that outside is all buttoned up, when we start doing this videos, most likely on the inside, we'll start doing some still shots of the gym.
Yeah.
The bleachers are done on the inside. Equipment installation is going to be done. So they'll put the goals up and the nets up. And then MEP in those locker rooms is going to kind of be ongoing. So as we cook through that, might be cool to see once those finally, once you can tell it's a locker room and
Yeah. I just applaud the efforts of Hagerman from keeping the work on schedule to the communication with myself and Mr. Maxwell, Mr. Stone, and building principals. It's just been it's been great to work with them on all these projects, and having 4 separate projects felt like, inevitably there were going to be delays or challenges, especially in this COVID age. But I've just been amazed how they have kept things going on track, and this drone footage never gets old.
Good. Well, hopefully
Yeah.
come January, we are going to have some little hard hat footage because we have confirmed some dates with Kathy. We're actually going
Good.
to get to LH Carpenter to do some programming with the preschool and kindergarten students. We're looking at a January date and then probably a March or April date. So hopefully we'll have some footage to throw in from that too. Still working on the middle school and high school. But
Wonderful.
whatever they would like us to do, we're happy to do it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, there are no further questions for Stephanie. All right, item B, approve the joint resolution to finance the match to secure the federal grant to build an addition at Heartland Career Center. We have
So
a mo-
moved.
have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second discussion.
I thought you had a guest board member in the back. I heard that somebody's talking. So I just want to say, I think this is like our fifth project. I certainly want to commend Mr. Poley and Mr. Hobbs in all the work that they've done, and also Grow Wabash County, because I think it was through their entity, their organization, that we were able to pursue this federal grant. For those of you, especially since we're zooming through YouTube and we may have people watching, this was an opportunity to basically secure $4 million for $1 million. And Heartland Career Center, again, the 5 member schools of Wabash City Schools, MSD of Wabash County, Manchester Community Schools, North Miami, and Peru have been supportive of this program or this grant. And Mark and Tony and the people of Heartland Career Center have been working tirelessly to get this grant done, and have been waiting on the feds to be able to release it. And it's a really big deal. Seems like a no-brainer. Tony, how many square footage are we looking at?
Well, you had to ask me that. No, I don't remember that. It seems like there's 9,000 square feet of classroom space, and then a few more thousand of open space that can be used for manufacturing type equipment or something. I don't remember the square footage, but it's basically the same footprint as what the building is we have now. It's going to be just another one about the same size. And when I've been on the board now, we've added the program at at the Honeywell Center with the visual arts media. We've added CDL licensing for high school truck drivers. When they graduate, they can drive a truck legally. We've added a precision ag, which is just really top. It's the first high school type program of it in the whole Midwest. I mean, it's at least that. It's really college level courses in high school. So with the CPE grants that are coming from the state, Wabash has 165 students at Heartland, and they bring in CPE grants in addition to the normal high school tuition of about $293,000. So pretty close to $300,000. It's a big deal. The career pathways that are being pushed, we need to have enough different types of classes to get kids trained in. If they're not wanting to go to college for any reason, and actually some of these kids will go to college after Heartland, but if they're not, particularly, you want to have some extra training for them. We've been talking to Ivy Tech, Vincennes, and Manchester University about curriculum and assistance in putting this program together. So I want to fill you in a little bit on it. Besides the $1 million match, that's the monetary contribution, and we do have a little over $200,000 already raised from donations. We hope to raise some more. Don't know exactly what the end cost is going to be. That $5 million is a projected cost. We have to let bids. But in order to get the $4 million, we have to spend $5 million. So it's an 80% grant. So if the total cost is $4 million, not $5 million, then we're going to get $3.2 million, 80%. So anyway, Wabash being the largest share of the students there, our share is going to be our payment if we were to finance the whole $1 million. And again, we've already raised some other money. We're not trying to raise some more. But if we were to try and finance the whole $1 million, our share is under $28,000 a year. I really anticipate considerably less than that. And that's interest and principal. That's pretty cheap building, $28,000 a year for a $5 million project. So one of the things that Manchester University is interested in putting in there is a higher level nursing program. And that's pretty exciting. So there's been several things we've talked about, just kind of give you some ideas. There's interest in heating and cooling, in industrial maintenance, in electrician. There's a lot of jobs for those things. There's not a lot of people ready to fill them. So there's definitely a need. So this is giving us the building first. We'll figure out the curriculum later. And what we've got on the financing, this $1 million that we're being asked to sign, all of these schools together need to agree to a funding of that $1 million. What we have, we've looked at a couple options. One is through commercial bank or a bank for commercial loan. And the other, we have an opportunity to get a lower interest rate loan through the Common School Fund from the state of Indiana. We can go up to 25 years. So the numbers I was giving you was a 20-year mortgage. We wouldn't have to do that. We could, but again, we've got lots of options. We can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, whatever we want to do. Honestly, I think the final decision on the financing needs to come down to the superintendents. They've been informed since the beginning. This has been going on for a year and a half. It's been quite an endeavor to get this grant. And kind of run out background information. I want to answer any questions anybody has. If you have any questions.
Tony, is the money strictly just for a building, or can it be used for equipment that's going to be used in programming, or is it strictly just for a building?
There is a percentage that's allowed for equipment, and that has been built into the grant. They do put a limit on it. So the total package was a $5 million project, and the building itself was like almost 3.4 million. So there's definitely some other stuff involved there. There's some money for outside parking, for example. There's money for the drainage work. There's money for some equipment. So yes, there is some room for that. One thing I want to point out too, that where this is really a bonus issue, our interest at Heartland is to expand educational opportunities for high school students. The grant doesn't exactly match that. The grant was for adult education, but the feds are entirely, we're totally open with the federal government with this grant, and they've agreed to what we want to do. We're going to have adult education for these same classes in the evenings, and high school kids can take those same classes during the day for the high school CTE credits. So what we're doing is, because this is adult education that we're teaching the high school kids, that it works. It's pretty neat stuff. So it's really a bonus for the community. We can educate our kids, and we can educate the adults that need additional training.
And I would just follow up too, and I'm not sure if I heard you say it, Tony. I know you mentioned the number of kids that Wabash City Schools has attending Heartland Career Center, but that's a record number for us and a record number overall for Heartland Career Center.
Yeah, officially on count day, it was 591 students. In my 15 years, it's never been over 550. So we've got a lot of kids. It's packed. And there's lots of things we'd like to do, but there's just not room. We were actually talking about this project when I first went on the board, pretty close to 3 years ago. We said we needed to have more space, we needed to expand. We were looking at, could we rent an empty storefront like a grocery store? That's too expensive. Can we find we were looking whatever we can find. Couldn't find anything, and then this grant came up, and yeah, it's worth pursuing. It was a competitive grant. We've been awarded, so I guess they liked what they saw. Other questions?
The only other thing I would mention is that I believe the only two districts still remaining to approve the resolution is us tonight, and then I believe North Miami as well.
Yeah, North Miami is tomorrow night.
Yep.
I just want to comment, Tony, that I know you've been on the board, our liaison for, this is your third year, and I just want to thank you for your work towards this. I know it's, like you said, it's been going on for a year and a half, and I know you've been very involved, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's needed.
If there are no other questions, all those in favor of approving the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item C, accept the resignation of Heather Dutton as third grade online instructor effective October 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, discussion?
Just thank Ms. Dutton for her time and service as that online instructor. You've seen this kind of fluctuate in and out, and again, all things COVID, life is fluid right now, and so some days it feels like we're just plugging holes left and right. But thank you to Heather and all those who have taken on responsibility to do both in-class instruction as well as online.
All those in favor of accepting the resignation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item D, approve Alicia Galati as third grade online instructor at a rate of $750 per semester and $65 per student per 9 weeks, effective November 2nd, 2020.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second, discussion?
Yeah, just so Ms. Galati, we've got a couple of, let's see, on D and E, but again, and same thing, just appreciate Alicia for stepping in there. Alicia is an alum, and she's getting close to finishing up her student teaching, and we're hoping to keep her around for, that hire to retire philosophy. So thank her for stepping in. She's got a lot of stuff going on, but she wanted to meet this need that we definitely have during this challenging time. So thank you.
All those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item E, approve recommendation to transfer Alicia Galati from OJ Neighbors art instructor to permanent sub at OJ Neighbors effective November 9th, 2020 at her current daily rate.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
in a second, discussion?
Like I said, so this action, Alicia's been doing her student teaching with us, but she had previously been the art instructor. Miss Davis had taken over for her temporarily. This allows us to expand our substitute teacher capacity during this difficult time, and it also allows us to keep hold of Mrs. Galati, and hopefully we can eventually hire her in the classroom. So thank her, and thank you.
Right. All those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item F, approve recommendation for Aubrey Davis to remain as the art instructor at OJ Neighbors for the entire 2020-2021 school year.
So moved.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, discussion?
Yeah, Miss Davis has done a fantastic job, and glad to be able to extend her time in that position.
All those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item G, accept resignation of Carrie Mertz as fifth grade online instructor effective December 18th, 2020.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second, discussion?
Thank you to Miss Mertz for her time and service.
All those in favor of accepting the resignation, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item H, accept resignation of Heather Owens as WMS Guidance and Attendance Secretary effective November 6th, 2020, and resignation of her position as Skyward Administrator at the end of the 2020-2021 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion?
Yeah, this is a tough loss. Miss Owens has been a staple at Wabash Middle School and Wabash City Schools for some time. We certainly wish her the best in her new position, but those are big shoes to fill. She not only was the guidance in attendance, but again was kind of the individual that everybody went to for Skyward, and never saw Heather without a smile on her face. And she did a lot of the summer trips with Mr. Evans and Mr. and Mrs. Beecham, and she certainly will be missed. Thank you to all of her time and service.
The way this reads, is she staying on as the Skyward administrator?
No, if you see it, it says, and resignation of her position as Skyward administrator.
Okay. All right.
The resignation of the Skyward thing is at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
She's gonna
Rob, I
stay
didn't
and help us get through Skyward when we need her.
Okay, so she will stay on with that through the end of the school year.
She will,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor of accepting the resignation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item I, approve recommendation of Jessica Fishback as the WMS Guidance and Attendance Secretary effective November 23rd, 2020.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, discussion?
Welcome, Ms. Fishback. She will be taking Heather's position at the middle school for the guidance and attendance secretary.
All those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item J, approve recommendation for Melissa Callahan as the WCS Skyward Administrator with a stipend of $1,665 effective November 9th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, discussion?
Yeah, thank you to Ms. Callahan for taking on that responsibility. And obviously Heather will be training her for the remainder of the year. But again, that's an important position. That's our student management system. And so like what we did with Mr. Maxwell, takes a little time to train. So thank you to Heather for sticking around, and also for Ms. Callahan for taking that position.
All those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item K, approve extended medical leave for Randy Beaver beginning October 26th, 2020, with return date pending doctor's approval.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second, discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Beaver will be back next Monday. This was just to extend from the previous board action.
All those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item L, approve maternity leave request for Elizabeth Burns from December 14th, 2020 to February 15th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion?
Yeah, congratulations to Mrs. and Mr. Burns.
All those in favor of approving the request, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item M, approve the following coaches for the 2020-2021 year. WHS wrestling volunteer, Jake Smith. WMS sixth grade boys basketball volunteer, Chad McWhirter.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, discussion?
Yeah, obviously, thank you to all our coaches and volunteers.
All those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item N, approve recommendation to hire Kayla Black as WMS Cafe effective November 9th, 2020.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, discussion?
Yeah, officially welcome Ms. Black.
All those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item O, approve recommendation to provide retirement incentive of $12,500 to any certified personnel that notifies the superintendent by January 12th, 2021 of their intent to retire at the end of the 2020-2021 school year. The $12,500 will be deposited into the employee's VALIC account upon separation. Certified personnel will still be able to turn in retirement letters after January 12th, 2021, but they will not qualify for the incentive. We have a motion?
Move for
So
approval.
moved.
Motion is, do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, so we've done this in the past from time to time. We have money outside of the education fund that is in our VALIC account. So if a certified individual does not meet the vesting requirement, then the money that we've put into their account will come back into this account. It's got over $100,000 in that account. We're offering this as long as we have money. And again, the reason for the deadline, reason why we wanted it on this board, it gives teachers 8 weeks to be able to work with financial advisors and really have a good conversation about whether or not they can retire. And then we also want to equip our principals with enough time to be able to hire quality people to replace them in the spring. And so we've worked with Mr. Burns and the association, and we feel like this is a good opportunity to reward our teachers at the end of their tenure. And as I put in the update, obviously there is a financial benefit to that as well. Typically, we'll see a $20,000 savings at a minimum when we hire new faculty.
Any questions? Not, all those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item P, approve the following transfers effective November 23rd, 2020. Mark Smith from cafeteria delivery driver custodian to groundskeeper WHS and WMS custodian. Randy
So
Beaver
moved.
from
Oh.
WHS custodian to cafeteria delivery driver custodian. We have a motion
So moved.
Second,
and a second. Discussion.
Those gentlemen are just flip-flopping.
All those in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item Q, approve the following administrator contracts. Salaries for the 2020-2021 school year will remain the same as 2019-2020. Jason Callahan, Superintendent of Schools, first of 3-year contract. Matt Stone, CFO, COO, first of 2-year contract. Josh Blossom, Ivy Tech and College Career Director, first of 2-year contract. Emily Tracy, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, first of 2-year contract. Kyle Whelan, Principal, Wabash High School, first of 2-year contract. Mike Mattern, Principal, Wabash Middle School, first of 2-year contract. Jeff Galley, Assistant Principal, Wabash High School, first of 2-year contract. Beth Philippi, Assistant Principal, OJ Neighbors, first of 2-year contract. Floyd McWhirter, Athletic Director, first of 2-year contract. Justin Vale, Director of Technology Integration, first of 2-year contract.
Move
We
for
have a motion
approval.
to approve. We have a motion to approve.
Yes, move for approval.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion.
Just as you pointed out in the recommendation, there's no increase or in salaries, just the only change is the contract years.
All right. All those in favor of approving the recommendations, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Items from superintendent.
Yeah. First off, I'd just like to thank Hagerman again and Stephanie. I think communication has been fantastic. Like I said, from a macro level to on the site with building principals. I know Kathy at LH Carpenter has been very pleased with all the opportunities she's had to participate in even the design of LH Carpenter's new edition. So I really want to thank them. I want to thank how accessible they are. We had an issue that came up last Friday, or was that the Friday before? We had one that came up Friday. We had a game Saturday, and Hagerman worked diligently to get people there so we could make sure that we played that game and we didn't have to move it. They brought in workers in less than 24-hour notice, probably less than 12-hour notice, and they came in and worked all morning to make sure that the girls basketball team could play in Kuhlman their first home game. And so I just really applaud all that they do, and been very pleased with their efforts. We also want to point out, we've been discussing with Barton Co. about the potential Media Arts Center. This was one of the projects that we ended up delaying just because the overall cost of all the projects. And so we simply, at the first stage of bonding, we just did the connector between Wabash Middle School and Wabash High School. But when they did that entire design, and as they do the construction, they're doing that with the idea that could be a sizable media center between the auditorium and that connector. And so we've started conversations with Barton Co. Mr. Stone and I met with Jim Elizondo with Stifel to talk about the amount that we have left without impacting the tax rate. And so those conversations are starting. As we get more fixed numbers and a design, we'll start scheduling some public meetings to have conversations about that next iteration of projects. If you remember, in addition to that project, we also have discussed about $5 to $7 million worth of HVAC across the district, updates that we probably need to attend to in the next 3 to 12 years. And so just let the board know and the community know that those conversations are still going on behind the scenes, and we'll update that soon. I want to thank Tony and Mark. Again, it is an incredible, and Grow Wabash County. It's another example of our community being successful because we step across boundaries. We don't just silo up as a public school system. We work with other entities. And again, I think Wabash City Schools does a really nice job of taking a lead, just as what we've done with Mr. Blossom at Ivy Tech. Just to point out, we've been paying for that facility on our own while we offer every county school free tuition for attending at that facility. So I think it's another example of our heart and our spirit for this community and for education. And I know that Tony is retiring from the board at the end of the year. But I know Mark Hobbs has said to me numerous times, I would like to find a way for Tony Pulley to stay my board president. So I think that's a tribute to Tony and his efforts. You see we're hiring and resigning of online instructors. It's a very fluid time, and education traditionally is not a fluid organization. It's largely looks the same that it did since 1890. And I just want to applaud our staff and our administration and our community in supporting us through this really fluid time. We've had to pivot several times. we are constantly on the phone with our local health department. In fact, today we started doing weekly calls with our head school nurses and superintendents and Dr. Rowe at the Wabash County Health Department. And I just want to thank Mrs. Kelsheimer, Mrs. Ballschmidt, and Mrs. Philippi, our school nurses, for all that they're doing to keep us safe and to ensure that everybody is being communicated with. There's a lot of moving parts. And so thank you to all of them. Thank you to all of our staff. And don't forget to have some grace and humility during this time. Everything's 2020 in hindsight. And so there's just ongoing challenges. But as I've said to the corporation, I certainly want to say to the community, our number one goal remains to keep all our kids and staff safe. But we're also trying to stay in school, and we're trying to create this as normal experience for our kids while keeping everyone safe at the same time. And so right now it's working. A few weeks ago, we lost about a third of our high school staff, and Mr. Whelan and his staff had to quickly pivot and put together e-learning for 2 weeks. And I think they did a phenomenal job. They learned a lot last spring. I know Mr. Mattern has had a lot of situations with some direct exposures where we've had to make a large amount of personal phone calls and large groups of our kids have quarantined. At OJ, Mr. Drollinger and Ms. Philippi, the same thing. We've had some grade or classes have to quarantine because of potential direct exposure. And right now I feel like it's working. Tomorrow may be a different story, but right now it feels like it's working. And it's working because we're all working together. So I just want to thank everybody for that, and thank the board for their ongoing support.
Okay. Items from Chief Business Officer.
The only thing I have is just an update on our budget process. I have to go to City Council to get some additional appropriations approved, which is just cleaning up this year, going into next year. And once that's over, we should hear back about our budget for next year. So looking for that somewhere around December 17, 18. That's about when we got it last year. So we should know where we're at then.
Okay. Items from visitors.
I don't
I'll start tonight. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kathy.
You want me to go? Oh, it's okay. Do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Oh, I was just going to, again, like you said with Hagerman, hats off to them. They have done an absolute standing job. And like Stephanie said, we've set some dates for January that we're going to do the little hard hats. I'm excited for that. They're going to try on some PPE. They're going to do, they're going to show them some of the tools that they use. And then they're going to do like hammer themselves. She said like golf tees into a styrofoam. And then we're going to hopefully combine with our kindergartners in March and April, and they're going to be partners to make a seesaw, hopefully with COVID. Hopefully COVID will allow us to do that. We have picture retakes coming up on Thursday, and we are finalizing our fundraiser. Didn't have as good of a turnout as I thought, but I think a lot of that has to do with hard times with COVID. So appreciate the sales that we did have. We had 40 shirts that were sold. So we appreciate that, and we'll just continue to try other things. We did make a dual immersion program change, looking at the fact that we did have some rises of COVID in the county, and we wanted to make sure that we did keep our students safe and healthy. Those classes were going they were switching half a day, so after their lunch. And talking with the teachers, we felt like we probably need to make another change. So right now, they are, Mrs. Ellett's doing Spanish in the morning, so they are Zooming, and she's teaching the Spanish to both classes. And then in the afternoon, Mrs. Feigert they're Zooming again, and she teaches the English part to both classes. The classes stay in each classroom for the whole entire week. And then both teachers did want to see the other set of kids. So the following week they will switch. And we've done it for a week, had a good response from parents, very supportive. And I think it's what we needed to do for the high rise going on in the county with the COVID. So want to thank again Mrs. Kelsheimer and Mrs. Philippi for continuing to work with us just on all of our cases that we're having to deal with. That's it.
Thanks, Kathy.
I would gladly go next. Can you see me and hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Good. Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. A couple of updates from OJ Neighbors. I want to let you know the high school invited us to help out with their fish food drive, and I was very pleased with the amount of items our families and students brought in. A lot more than I ever expected. So that was great to see. The last couple of weeks, we've been doing a stovetop stuffing drive for the Lighthouse Missions, and our goal was 350. And again, did a great job. The kids brought in 415 boxes of stovetop stuffing to help get these meals ready for our needy families. And yeah, these are great activities, and you really hope that the kids are understanding why we're doing it, learning about giving and philanthropy. When we do these food drives, it's great that we're getting all these, but we certainly hope our kids are learning those life lessons. And we've had great turnout, which I truly appreciate. We just started Operation Reach Out, and this looks different depending on the grade level, but we're writing letters, drawing pictures for our residents of our local nursing homes. And they're doing this through all the grade levels, and then we'll collect those and we'll distribute them to the nursing homes. As you know, a lot of those people don't get the visitors they probably should. Just hoping to lighten them up a little bit and give them something during this holiday season. These letters from the kids usually are fun to read, and the pictures are really good. Last, I wanted to give a celebration to Shar and Beth at OJ Neighbors, Beth Philippi, Shar Kelsheimer, working super hard as we deal with lots of various COVID issues and the quarantines that really cause the issues. I know Shar's been putting in a lot of hours that she's got to enter a lot of those things. And Beth is excellent at helping move our paraprofessionals who are in the building into different roles throughout the day, just to help us cover some of those classes and teachers that are on quarantine and make sure that we can continue to have school.
Thanks, Nigel.
Thank you.
Because I use rank number 9 in the country, in football, no less, in football. So no, I'm just kidding. Let me switch that. That's a big deal, though, if you're an IU fan. Hey, I would echo what Nigel was just sharing there. Thanks to the high school for allowing us to be a part of their canned food drive as well. I think we sent 300 items over there to them. So I appreciate that. It's neat to see that goes K-12 or pre-K to 12. So those initiatives are great for our community. Also, I would want to say that Veterans Day was definitely different for us last week. But we still did celebrate that at each grade level, and some wonderful cards were written to some local veterans. I know that personally, that I was able to deliver some to my father, who was a veteran in the 50s, and meant the world to him. So it was a great effort by our teachers to make sure that our students had an opportunity to impact some people in our community that definitely weren't expecting it. I know my dad was quite surprised, as were the others that received those cards. Lastly, as everybody else has said, huge thanks. The collaboration has been pretty amazing to fill the gaps as the gaps are presented to us. We had Megan Dayfo one day as a sub. Stephen, she was scared to death, but she did a great job. And I teased her as her former teacher, saying, "Never thought I'd see you on that side of the desk." And she smiled and said, "Yeah, I didn't think she would either." But it was nice that central office was supportive of us that way. I'd like to thank Kyle and the high school because as they were shut down, their aid staff and teaching staff filled in where we needed them to fill in to continue to really provide a quality education for our kids through this time. So it's fun to see that that's an entire corporation process. And we continue to be in there and supporting our kids and making sure that they're learning in the best way that we believe, which is in person. Also, our teaching staff at the middle school has been incredible in terms of filling in and being flexible and moving to this room or that room. Not only realizing that our office is a little bit short-staffed right now, but helping in the office, helping in classrooms, and so it's interesting to see. I guess fun may not be the right word, but definitely humbling to see our staff step up the way that they do, knowing that our kids are there needing them. And then lastly, as Mr. Callahan alluded to, lots of conversations, phone conversations, and each and every one of those has been positive with our parents to make sure that we're staying as safe as possible and keeping students and families as safe as possible. And so nothing but gratitude to our community and parents as they handle those difficult situations with grace and understanding and want the best for all the kids in our community. So Wabash is a pretty awesome place. We're lucky to be a part of it. And it shows daily in our buildings. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Lastly, the high school, since the rest of them already hit on the food drive for fish, I did look it up to make sure I had final numbers. We ended up donating over 10,000 items this year, which is twice as many as last year, which is pretty awesome. Miss Geibel and Jacoby Griffith, who's a senior this year, led the way for individuals, but overall it was a great drive. We also collected a total of $734 that was also donated. And so a huge credit to our student council. And also the fact that the other buildings joined forces with us. I think that's a great opportunity to give back to our community and those who are in need at this time. Also, hitting on, with all the work that Mrs. Kelsheimer's done, Peggy Ballschmidt, and then at our own individual building, Dawn Saunders and Michelle Dillon have done so much as far as, the calling and the tracking, and on top of that, the subs, having to figure out how to move everybody around. And so I know, under these conditions, it's very trying, but we have some great people in the important spaces to be able to accomplish all that additional work. So I want to thank all of them. I also, huge appreciation for the substitute teachers who are still willing to come in. We did have several that were reluctant just because of concerns for their own health, but the ones who, those loyal ones that continue to come in, we could not provide the education that we do without their continued support. So huge thank you to our substitute teaching crew. A couple weeks ago, we did end up, we were shorthanded staff wise. We just had too many teachers out and couldn't cover all the necessary classrooms. And so we did move to virtual learning for the first time this year at the high school level. We were in that format for a total of 7 school days. And I was really pleased with how things went this year. Lots of positive feedback from parents and students and my teachers. We opted to go to the classes meeting every other day via Zoom during their actual class period, which I think helped parents and students, keep track of the structure there, offered more instructional time. It also, the reason we went morning and afternoon is because when we first started, Heartland Career Center was still going to be in session. And so we needed to make sure that our classes weren't overlapping with our juniors and seniors who go to Heartland either during the AM or the PM. So, we had some obstacles to work around, but very pleased with the participation level and the engagement level of our students. Heard some really good things from our teachers as far as what they were able to accomplish during those 7 days compared to last year. When we had to go to that virtual format, first time around, there was a lot of problems, and I think we learned from that experience. Had quite a few discussions throughout the remainder of second semester last year and the start of first semester this year, just in anticipation of something like this happening. So, collaborating with teachers, students, parents, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. I think we got a lot of things right this time. So huge credit to the faculty at Wabash High School. And also, obviously we needed to have buy-in from the students and the parents to be able to continue to offer the instruction we did. So very pleased with how all of that went as well. Trying to think if there was anything else. That might have been it for us. We have just a couple weeks left till Thanksgiving break, and winter sports have started up. So that's always exciting to see lots of indoor activities coming. So, excited to see wrestling, basketball, swimming, give those student athletes an opportunity. So I'm pretty excited to see how all those teams do. So that's all I have.
Kyle, quick question. Did I see today that the Lily finalists were announced and we had a couple of kids?
If you did, I didn't know it was announced yet. So
okay. I thought I saw online that we had a couple of students.
Okay.
You did. Maddie.
Oh, go ahead.
Maddie Bartu and Sabine Thomas are our two Lily finalists.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting to have two. I'd found out a couple weeks ago, but I'm never really sure when they're making that official. So we had quite a few students apply and great candidates. Like, the two that they selected, I mean, we could have had a handful more. So, two great representatives of Wabash City Schools, and very proud of those two young ladies. So, yeah, very exciting again. Yes.
Mr. McQuirt.
Hello, good evening. Couple things. First off, I don't know if anybody else can see it on the screen, but that beautiful football field / soccer field there at Wabash. I want to say thank you to Hagerman. They did an amazing job working with us on that, getting that done. Obviously working in the gym as well, getting it playable for our girls' first home game. So thank you to Hagerman with Adam and all the other people at Hagerman and Sean as well. I know Sean put a lot of time and effort into to make sure we were able to play that Saturday. So thank you. I wanted to say congratulations to our boys cross country TRC champions this year. And they are also our boys RRC champions this year. Mr. Evans has done an amazing job with those guys, getting those guys going. I appreciate his efforts, and those guys have done an amazing job this year. Along with our first ever girls TRC championship in soccer. Coach Wright and the girls have done an amazing job. She's got them ready to go, and then things are moving forward in the right direction. We appreciate what they do. I want to say thank you to our coaches. All of our coaches in the fall have had to put a lot of work and extra effort in to be ready to play, along with our winter coaches prepping for this upcoming season. And we're going to all come into a point where we find some struggles, some obstacles to work through, and they change daily. You never know what's going to happen. You could be playing, you couldn't be playing. We could be playing with no spectators. You just never know. And so I appreciate our coaches being flexible, working with it and trying to find the best opportunities for our kids, because that's what we really want to do is, provide those opportunities for our kids to compete. And so one other thing I want to bring up was we had our first real live stream for the girls basketball game the other day. Mr. Burns did an amazing job announcing for us. Mr. Backer has also helped us out with that as well. So I want to say thank you to those two for doing that. I look forward to seeing what we can do in the future and really trying to bring some kids and get them involved in this broadcasting piece. I think it could be exciting and fun for them to get involved. And so thank you to those two. And for athletics, we got girls basketball still going. Boys basketball just started up. Wrestling's been going a little bit here too, and swimming with Coach Blossom. So we're excited, looking forward to it. And we're going to try to provide as much live streaming as we can for any event due to the limited capacities at some of our venues. So we'll try to find a way to get those out there to our supportive group of parents and guardians and community members.
Thank you, Mr. McQuirt. Mr. Vale.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Just give a quick update on technology. With so many people in remote places, I'm sure you can imagine it's been a busy time for my tech staff, but luckily they're fantastic at what they do. We have Mr. Callahan wrote a grant called the GEAR Grant a few months ago, and we've been able to secure some access, some internet options for our parents who live in rural areas, who have students who are in quarantine or in a shutdown building. And so just trying to level that technology playing field for our student population that spreads out far beyond the city district. Aside from that, just nothing like a pandemic to accelerate learning and technology. So learning curves are steeply climbing, I would say, from students and teachers and parents. But it's all been really good. Very busy, but very good. So that's all.
Thanks, Justin. Anyone else? Rod, I think that's it.
All right. Items from board members. Rhonda?
I just wanted to tell Heather how much we'll miss her. She just has been fabulous at the middle school. My kids have benefited from her being there, as have thousands of others. So best of luck to her with her new position. And I just wanted to applaud our administrators and our teachers for their efforts and just to keep us in school and keep us going. So good job. That's it.
All right. Tony?
I want to thank everybody involved doing what's best for kids. That's what it's all about. And thanks for the vote of confidence for Heartland Career Center. Excited there. And it really is a team effort. That agreement with the feds was signed by Mark Hobbs as the director of Heartland and the county commissioners. They're in on it too. They had to sponsor this program. It's really their grant that we're taking advantage of. So we're pleased to do that and grateful at the same time.
All right. Stephen?
Couple things. First off, my wife has enjoyed the substitute teaching. I appreciate her being able to be flexible along with the other staff. I know central office is throwing girls all over the place out down there, but she was very worried going in, but it's actually been a joy for her the last few weeks. So thank you for allowing them to be able to fill holes where needed. And secondly, I know I have a son right now currently at Junior Apaches. For them to be able to keep that program going speaks a lot of the people involved and the kids and the parents doing what's been asked of them. So Junior Apaches program is going strong. This is our fourth week. But I appreciate the coaches and the families involved.
All right. Bill?
First thing I want to do is acknowledge Mr. Maturin's Indiana University football team. I want to assure everyone that in spite of the fact that Buckeye fans from coast to coast are in awe of this football machine, that we are kind of satisfied right now that we've been installed as a 21-point favorite for this weekend. And the only really positive thing I'll say about Ohio State is it's now been 3,278 days since Michigan beat us.
It'll be more.
When I each week, several times a week, I get reports from the Indiana Department of Health on the COVID virus throughout the state. And as one might suspect, I focus a lot on Northeast Indiana and, of course, my home of Wabash County every time I get the report. Mid-October, I think it was, we had fewer than 100 cases. As of today, we have had 1,141 cases. At the end of the not last week, but the week before last, our positivity status was at 7.4%. Right now, it's at 11.4%. I think that the administration, the staff, everybody, the professional staff, everybody, all the way through transportation, have done an amazing job performing under the most adverse possible circumstances I can imagine. And I actually want to thank our administration and our staff for the work that they've done through this pandemic thus far, and encourage you to hold your heads up because it's appreciated. Thank you.
Just a couple things for me. One, I was able to attend the National Elementary Honor Society induction at OJ Neighbors. I want to congratulate all the inductees and thank the staff that sponsors that and help put that on. I know we had Rhonda, I think you had a child that was inducted, and former board member Kip Cantrell had a child as well. But that was a very nice ceremony, and I want to thank everybody for putting that on. And then I also want to thank everybody for how they've cooperated during this whole COVID outbreak. Next week's Thanksgiving, and we've got an awful lot to be thankful for. Being able to keep our kids in school, and everything that our administration and our staff has done has just been outstanding. So thank you to everyone for the cooperation and keeping our kids in school. And with that, I will.
Rod,
yes.
can I add one more thing? It seems like my habit, I forget something. And I just wanted to say that as a card writer myself, I love that you guys sent cards to the veterans and to the nursing homes. So good job on that. I love that. So thank you for taking that on. Okay, now I'm done.
Okay. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.